Hey guys, how's it going? It's Otaku Tavern with another video, and good news is weather out here has cooled down. It's not freaking like hot as an oven out here. Still a little wind, but at least I ain't got the heat like pushing me down. But anyway, you guys ever I don't know, wish you had like a time machine? Like, I don't know, like who wishes they had like the DeLorean, you know, from Back to the Future. And you just go back to the 2000s, right? And before the social medias and them stupid phones took over, and I don't know, just life was simpler back then. I mean, even for people that wasn't otakus, life was simpler back then. But you know, you had like all the cartoons come on, you know, American cartoons, you know, and Dexter's Laboratory and Powerpuff Girls and all that, you know, and then, you know, who remembers, you know, watching like anime on Adult Swim, right? You know, after the kid shows stopped showing, the other Cartoon Network shows. Some people call them kid shows, whatever. I mean, I don't really think it matters, but anyway, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, it would transfer over to Cartoon Network to Adult Swim, right? And you know, there were some adult American cartoons on there too, but like, you know, who remembers watching like Dragon Ball Z on there, right? Who remembers you know, Naruto on there, Death Note, you know, Inuyasha, Samurai Jack. You know, a lot of the good ones, you know, just came on there. It's like, sure, they show a couple now. You know, that's obviously good. Demon Slayer and stuff like that. But you know, back when I was younger, it's like, you know, that was just like the best time to be alive. Like, you know, in Cartoon Network also, you'd catch like Pokemon on, right? You know, especially like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. That was really good stuff. You know, Pokemon Advanced Battle. You know, and then you had like, you know, the WB back in the day, you know, Warner Brothers, and they used to show like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Bakugan, you know, shows like that. And there was even this one, it was an American cartoon, it was a DC I think it was DC, if I recall correctly. It could be Marvel, but I believe it was DC. You know, who remembers Static Shock, right? You know, that show, I grew up watching that, and that's probably one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen. But I don't know, I just miss those days. You know, like the good snacks, you know, like the better snacks, like, I don't know, the prices too. Like, everything was cheaper back then. But like, you know, who remembers just, you know, just waking up and then just playing Pokemon till you got up from the time you went to bed, or, you know, going outside to play and didn't have a care in the world about anything, you know, when we doing all that. You know, back in the day, you know, our least favorite thing to do was sleep. You know, because we didn't want to wait for it all to come back to tomorrow. It's like it don't come back now. It don't come at all. That's the thing, you know. Don't get me wrong, I like playing games and watching animes and stuff, but you know, it's like, as an adult, you got responsibilities, and I don't know, it's just so much better. It was so much better being a kid. You know, there's even other shows I'd watch, you know, when I was like 9 years old, I was already watching shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? It's like, you know, you'd be lucky to find, other than anime or anything that comes from Asia, you would be lucky, very lucky, to find a good show that's actually worth a crap, or a good movie in America anymore. You'd be lucky. Like, I mean, sure, yeah, there's like a lot of good action movies that come out still, but I'm not necessarily talking about stuff like that. You know, I don't know, but that new movie Disney's got looks pretty promising. That movie Hoppers, that looks pretty promising. That looks like that might actually be good. It's been a while since I said that for Disney, by the way, a long time. You know, the last movie I watched from Disney was Frozen 2, you know, the last newest one. That was, gosh, 2019, 18, somewhere around there. But I don't know, I just miss those days, you know, just, you know, and the first time watching like Death Note too on Adult Swim, you know, just finding out, you know, you just like, it would always end on like a cliffhanger or whatever, right? And you'd be like, you'd have to wait till the next night to find out what happens in the next episode, right? Like, I don't know, like the thrill of that, like, is just, I don't know, it's different now, because you got like streaming, you don't really have that thrill anymore, because you can just simply go to the next episode anytime you wish. So it's like, it's not really, it doesn't really paint like a picture. Like, you know, back then we didn't do what was called binge watching. You know, like a lot of people, that's what they do. They just binge an entire thing all in one day or whatever, try to, and then it's like, for a couple of days, and it's like, wow, it's over. You know, you didn't really enjoy it. Like you would if you kind of just watch one or two, and then be like, oh, I'll go back to it later. You know, sorry about this wind. But it's like, you know, I don't know, I miss those days, I really do. It was just more peaceful, you know, but, you know, and I talk a lot about the normies and stuff like that, you know, that was still a problem back then. It was like, you know, I don't know, I feel like the normies wasn't as bad back then. I mean, they were bad, but like, I guess it was a little tolerable. It's like now you can't even tolerate normies. You know, I don't know, like it's, you try to, but it just doesn't work. But anyway, you know, another thing too is like, you know, you had like good things to eat while you was watching this stuff too. Like, you know, we as kids, we probably ate, you know, we ate stuff like Kid Cuisine, right? It's just like, you know, I really wish that the time machine or the DeLorean, you know, preferably the DeLorean, because, see, if you had the DeLorean, but if you had, you know, you had the DeLorean or whatever, like it, I don't know, you'd be able to like go to any year you like, but I guess then again it would be kind of bad if you had the DeLorean, because if you had the DeLorean, you like got curious about the future, you might just seppuku. And it's like, you know, that's another brutal like thing too, is like you may be like, well, I'm curious about what's going on in like say 2050, right? It's like set the DeLorean to go to 2050. It's like you arrive in 2050 and you're like, what the F is this, right? You're like, oh no, like if this is what 2050 really is, I might as well just seppuku. So, I mean, I guess I can see it that way too, because it honestly probably would make some people want to do that, you know, and I get it, but me preferably, I wouldn't be that way. I would want to go to the past, you know. I'd want to go back to the 2000s and just have fun, you know, like when I was a kid, and you know, just if I could tell myself one thing from back then, you know, it'd be don't wish you'd grow up, because it happens too quick. It happens way too quick. And when you grow up, you sit here a lot of days thinking, man, that was stupid what I said. I wish I could go back. And it's like the older you get too, the more this thought comes into your mind too. You know, a lot of old people, like 70s, you know, 60s, 80s and above, they talk about that a lot. Oh, I wish I could go back and do it all again. And you know, it doesn't work that way. It's like, you know, I wish the DeLorean was real, because I don't know. I would use the heck out of it. It's like, but you know, and thing is too, is like they say, oh well, if you did that, you might mess up the time space or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. But yeah, it's like, you know, I remember just sitting there, you know, watching Samurai Jack and eating all kinds of things. You know, who remembers those little crayon scribbler popsicles, right? Like, I actually found those at a Walmart last year, and I bought them. And the Walmart quit selling them, so I guess they just quit making them. You know, it's very hard to find as is, and then can't find them now. But like, man, I'll tell you what, when I tasted that thing, I literally cried, because you know, it tasted identical. It wasn't changed. The recipe wasn't changed. None of that. All this stuff is just changed. Like, it's just different, you know. And they could bring something back, and it just wouldn't be the same. You know, but the thing is like, you know, I'll tell you another thing. Like, you know, back in the day, a lot of us really liked them strawberries and cream sagers, right? Well, I actually found a roll of them at my Five Below. And this same Five Below has now apparently got Wonder Balls, so I'm definitely going to have to get that again. But, because, you know, we ate Wonder Balls back then too, and those cream savers even made me cry, because it tasted the exact same. It's like, because they haven't got rid of them yet. And they're very hard to find, but if you can find them, you know, enjoy it while it lasts, because, you know, a lot of stuff, like, it's gone. Like, one thing I would definitely bring back as far as snacks, you know, like when I was watching anime and playing games, is those swoops, you know, like Reese swoops, Almond Joy swoops, York swoops, Hershey swoops, you know, like chocolate chips. You know, it's kind of like a chocolate potato chip. You know, those are so good. And then, you know, Lay's chocolate chips, right? You know, they had like the chip and then chocolate drizzled all over it. All that's gone now. Like, you would have to make that homemade, and that requires a lot of time and a lot of effort. A lot of ingredients too. So, yeah, just I don't know. I just miss those days, like, you know. And there was a thing too, like, now this might actually hit pretty hard with a lot of people. watching this if you're an otaku, but you know, like back in the day, you know, us people that like grew up and watched it from the very beginning, played the games from the very beginning, you know, the Pokemon, you know, we always wondered what happened to like Ash's Butterfree. You know, we went years, decades wondering that. You know, that was a question that was just never answered. And it's like, you know, the last episode that featured Ash, like, it answers this question because, you know, and honestly, like, this scene here, it had me bawling for days because it's just, you just have to experience it to understand, I guess. But, you know, we always wondered what happened to it, and it's just, you know, he actually goes and sees this Butterfree, and then the Butterfree's got a family now of other Butterfrees, and it's playing like this sad music, and then it shows like the whole scene with like Ash crying all over again, and then it like cuts to like his room at his mom's, that's got like all of the trophies, like, you know, that we saw growing up, like from every league, every gym, everything. Like, you know, it was a very emotional scene because you know, that scene right there was for people who grew up with it. That's exactly what that scene was for. And it was a big tearjerker. You know, another thing too is like, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, back in the day, when the Pharaoh left, he's like, you know, the last time you saw him was like in that like episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX to where he like defeats Jaden. But like that was it, right? And then, you know, he comes back and like one of the movies, it's a Dark Side of Dimensions, and it's like, you know, I can't tell you how many people I've seen comment on that scene on YouTube about how when they first saw that, they literally broke down. Because it's like, you know, that's something we wanted. We just wanted so bad to see him one last time, if you know, if that's what it has to be. Because it's like, you know, I mean, really with any of these anime characters, for an otaku, they're friends, but like, you know, I'm going to use the Pharaoh for an example. Like, you know, we got to know him pretty well, and it's just like, you know, we viewed him as a friend and stuff and whatnot. But like, yeah, I don't know, I just miss it. But anyway, you guys take care. This has been another video. Is there any of these shows you watched when you were young, or was there any I didn't name? I mean, I didn't name them all, obviously, but like, if you could go back, would you go back? Or would you not go back because of the phone? Yeah, let me know in the comments. See ya.